What's up, everybody? Team Wilper's Cycling Challenge, Summer Send-Off Challenge. How's everybody doing? It is Thursday. It is August. I believe this is the 17th. And what a day, what a week. I think a lot of you have posted, I dropped my daughter off at college her freshman year, first thing. So it's tougher than it's not that easy. It's kind of emotional. That's a big deal. So anyway, that happened, and just got home. So I didn't have the entire day to prep for this briefing like I normally do. Normally I spend the whole day prepping, thinking, a lot of thought goes into it. But so I have been tapping this out for about an hour, and we have a lot to talk about. Just to let you know, I'm right in this with you. I'm not a better athlete than anybody. In fact, I'm terrible at taking my own advice, and sometimes, so I did an FTP test this week, like a lot of you did, and well, some of you mentioned the ramp test and some other ways to test, and so what I did is on Tuesday, I did a ramp test followed by the VO2 interval that precedes the FTP test, and then the FTP test. That was a hard workout. Not to be, I don't recommend this, but what it was interesting is that my ramp test gave me the number that I thought I should have, and the 20-minute test gave me the number that was probably the real one, that was a little bit lower than I should have. So some of you are struggling with, should you raise your number? Should you lower it? Should you, just trust the process. And if you're going to move it from where your test was, I would move it down. We athletes, all of us, making fun of myself here because I know I do the wrong thing, tend to bump it up to give us harder workouts. And that's maybe not the most efficient thing to do. Our body does not need to train harder to get stronger all the time. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more at the end. So let's recap last week's goals. Can I do that? We talked about establishing routines. Some of you posted up, and I really love that all the help I get with this. So establish routines to make your rides and workouts consistent, or to help them be consistent. So sleep more consistently, sleep at regular times, eat at regular times, or eat better. A couple of you mentioned drinking less, and yeah, this is kind of, all right, so since COVID, all right, full confession here, I've had a drink most every day. Try and keep it to one. And as hard as this may be, I think it does have a huge impact. It can play a part in bad food choices. This is drinking, maybe more than one. Drinking, it can play a part in bad food choices. It can definitely screw up your sleep, and not only volume, but timing. So the bad side is, I think we should probably drink less. I think that makes it so that you can sleep better. You can recover from your rides better. You probably eat better. So drinking less, keep it to one drink. And if you do have that drink, the good news is that you should maybe have it earlier in the day. I think the later it is, the more it affects your sleep. So I think it's good for us to have that one drink and have it earlier in the day. Does that make sense? How we feel about that? So establishing routines, sleeping, eating, and probably just treating yourself better in general, awesome. But even establishing a time for your workouts, time to sleep, just a lot of things. So I appreciate the posts that you all put out for the routines, and hopefully that is helpful. The other was start to identify your goals, your real goals for the challenge, for the training block, right? The consistency is the overall theme, which is awesome, but maybe we can be a little bit more specific. We all want more consistency, but I want to ride 3, 4, or 5 days a week. I want to ride 5 days a week. That's a specific process goal. I want to do strength training 3 days a week for 20 minutes. A good process goal. And then you could get very specific. I want to follow this plan. I want to do these intervals, and it gets a much more specific goal on the paper. So put some quantifier to it. How many days do you want to work out? Not just the consistency, but we're doing this for 6 weeks. I want to ride 4 days a week for 6 weeks. What's going to make this a success? Okay. Are you going to be successful? Are you going to feel successful if you miss one, if you miss two? Maybe try and get something on paper that will make it feel that you have accomplished something at the end and not just your FTP test. So a specific goal, a specific event goal is something you could also start to identify. And this is not necessary if you've got your consistency goal and that's good enough for you. That's awesome. Okay. A specific event goal. Some of you have started posting some events or event rides, and think about it. If you do ride outside or if you ride inside, go ahead and think about something you could put at the end of this program that would make it a success. A Peloton, a Strava segment, a event, a charity ride, a race, or something like that. Okay. So good job to all of those who posted their routines and their goals. If you haven't narrowed down a specific process or event goal, try to do it. Write it down. Tell your family. Post it in our Facebook group to keep yourself accountable. I think that's really important to get it written down and get it out there in your community. Okay. So thank you for all of those posts, and thank you for all of the questions and answers. I asked in the Facebook group for the newbies, the new people to a challenge or a training block or coaching, to post up, and a lot of you did, and we are thrilled that you are here. So thank you. And if you're asking questions in that area and you're a little bit shy, please don't hesitate. If you have a question, somebody else has the same question, okay? And thank you to all of you who chip in and answer those questions. It is so helpful, okay? That's the only way this works. I can't follow all of it. I try, but it's the only way we can keep up. So should be good. Should be good. So let's talk about, that's last week's, just recapping last week's goals. Now, how about the coming week's training goals? Okay, let's get on to week 2 of this training block and talk about the training goals. So we're going to start a progressive build on the intensity by adding some zone 4 intervals. No zone 4 this week that we're in, but there is some zone 4 next week, and we're putting the finishing touches on the foundation of our training block and starting to build the first floor with zone 4. Do this by keeping your training frequency and volume the same, your consistency, but the rides are going to be slightly more intense. Okay, remember I talked about the TSS last time. The TSS is going to go up, and I think that I did not put TSS in my notes while I was working on this all day. So I will post the TSS in a post on the Facebook group. So let's talk about the workouts. So the workouts on Monday, PZ Power Zone ride, okay, 45-minute workout with intervals that go between zone 3 and zone 4, then recover. Zone 3, zone 4, recover. Zone 3, zone 4, recover. I think there are 3 segments like that. Now, depending on where you are in your fitness journey, okay, you could ride in the middle of the zones. Just watch the class and ride how the instructor calls it. Awesome. If you're used to the percentages, let's go for 82% zone 3, and zone 4 is straight up 100%. Okay, take your FTP, multiply by 82%, multiply by 100%, and you will have your numbers. The recoveries in zone 1, if you're used to the percentages and you're looking for a challenge, go for 70 to 75%. That is straight up zone 2, almost zone 3 for the recoveries. It does bring that ride up quite a bit. Don't worry about it if you haven't done percentages before. Ride the ride, listen to the instructor. You are in good shape. That is an awesome way to do the ride. Okay, if you've been with me from past training blocks or challenges, then go ahead and go for the 75%. You know what I like. This is zone 2. Zone 3 and 4 are also going to be intense, so leave room for improvement. But do not feel compelled to overdo it, okay? We are not trying to train harder, we're trying to train smarter. Wednesday, let's talk about Wednesday is a PZE ride with zone 3, then zone 2. back and forth. Zone 3, zone 2, zone 3, zone 2. Follow the instructor, hit the middle of your zones, okay? Last week I called it an 80-70 week. We did zone 3 at 80%. This is if you're looking for percentages and specific percentage. I know, you guys are killing me with the timers. I'm gonna have to put them back in there. I'm gonna probably gonna end up doing the timers again. Okay, so let's just get through this and I'll see if I can get the timers going. 80, so where are we? Wednesday, 80-70 was last week. This week you could go 83-73 for the little bump up in intensity. 83% for zone 3, 73% for zone 2. If you're not using percentages, don't worry about it. Follow the class, okay? Thursday, 45-minute PZE. But all in zone 2. I love it. These are such good classes to have, and until recently there weren't very many of them, and they use varying cadence to keep the ride interesting. So everyone has a happy cadence. Let's talk about cadence for a little bit. Everyone has a happy cadence. I'll be honest, I don't know what the cadence call-outs are in the classes. But I do know that everybody has a happy cadence, and not everybody can pedal at 105 RPMs. I can't. But you can all define your best, most efficient cadence, okay? So here's just an example. I have 2 private athletes with the same everything. They're the same age, 2 women, same age, same weight, same FTP. One likes to pedal at 70 RPMs, and one likes to pedal at 90 RPMs. I think it has to do with coordination, training and not so much with muscle fiber types. I used to think it was all muscle fiber types, and if you're fast twitch, you like to pedal fast, and if you're slow twitch, you like to, or opposite, if you're fast twitch, you like to pedal slow because you like the resistance, and if you're more slow twitch, you like to pedal fast because there's less resistance. I don't think that's quite true. Lori, Brian, my resident bike fitters, or anyone else with any recent research want to chime in, please let us know why different people have different happy cadences. I'm guessing coordination. Anyway, take the cadence cues lightly and go fast when they say go fast, go slow when they say go slow. But as you're pedaling, I like the zone 2s. Because you can really identify where are you pedaling when you are just chilling, riding at a intensity you can carry on a conversation. What is your cadence? Mine, probably about 80. 85, I have to work to keep it up there. But knowing your happy cadence might be helpful when you're trying to ride most efficiently. So take this class at 73% or 75%, whatever you're going to do it, but be aware of what your cadence is and try and identify a happy cadence. Make sense? All right. Saturday, speaking of high cadence, Olivia will take you through a 60-minute PZE, again, back and forth, zone 2, zone 3, zone 2, zone 3. Ride in the middle of the zones. You get so much. This is consistency. It's time. It's another chance to pour fitness into your legs, into your body. If you like the exact percentages, we're going right with 83-73, okay? The PZEs for this week are 83-73. Sunday, another 30-minute PZE, but it's all zone 2. Go with 73% or 75% if you really want to do it. But the purpose of Sunday is to chill. It should be a recovery week, so no harder than that, okay? You're not trying to break records. You're just trying to move your legs and get ready. You're trying to get ready because the following Monday, week 3, is going to be very intense. So Matthew says, correct me if I'm wrong, but expose your body to different cadences, even if they're lower ranges. And that, I have to see more as too long of a comment. And that's something you work on and vary. Your brain will naturally choose the cadences that are efficient for you under varying terrain and loads. Totally agree. Totally agree. That makes perfect sense. And I think that's kind of what I was trying to say, but your brain naturally choosing what cadence is efficient for you, that makes perfect sense. Okay, so that's the rides. They're all listed in the portal, and you can put a check in the box as you do them. That's important. Okay, off the bike focus for the week. So in addition to routine setting and drinking less but earlier, sleeping better, eating better, writing down your specific goals, there's a few things that we probably need to touch on, and these are also important. So number one, bike fit. Bike fit is so important. I'm going to repost my video talk with Coach Brian Hammond, and Lori Lee is also in this group, and the two of these are just a wealth of knowledge on bike fit, and it's so important. Please hit us up with questions. They are much more adept at bike fit than I am, but man, if you have the means, get a bike fit. Get a Team Wilpers bike fit. One of these two pros or the other fitters can take a look at you, and they can get you way further than if you do it yourself. But if not, take a look at the video of the talk that Brian and I have, and he gives some clues at how to set yourself up, okay? Another post, somebody posted about tight hip flexors. Who's had tight hip flexors for years that didn't go away, no matter how much you stretch? Totally had this. All the stretching in the world didn't help. Two things ended up helping only recently. I've been doing this for a long time, and only recently did I realize that in my bike fit, if I tilted my saddle forward, my pelvis was tilted forward, I was able to work more efficiently, more balanced, and my hip flexors were not tight. They haven't been ever since. It doesn't feel like I need to stretch them all the time. The second thing is to train strengthening the antagonist muscles to hip flexors. Hip flexors bend, bring your knee up towards your chest. The antagonist muscles, one of them, the group, are your glutes, okay? Your glute medius in particular tends to turn off or stop working or stop doing its job, although it is a very functional muscle in posture, standing, and if that's not working and strong and conditioned, the hip flexors take over and feel tight all the time. Hip abduction, taking your rubber band. Let's see, do I have my handy? I usually have my Team Wilpers rubber bands, and they go right around my knees while I'm sitting right here at my desk, and move your knees out. Move your knees out. Best exercise, glute medius. That has done wonders for me. Might not be the same for everyone, but that is a good place to start. Look at your bike fit, but look at your muscle balance. That's a hip flexor. So yes, you can do stretches and everything, but keeping yourself balanced, you may need to feel like you don't have to stretch all the time. Stretching is still very good, but we need muscular balance. Lastly, there was actually, I'm gonna touch on one thing else before I get to one other topic, which is remember I said poke all the boxes on the portal, do the rides and hit the boxes. You guys are doing awesome. I think somebody in Team Wilpers said to me today that we're at 78% compliance. So speaking of consistency, we've got how many people in this challenge? I think there's about 1,100 people this time, and 78% of all of the rides have been done. And that means you guys are doing the rides, and that's awesome. What we want to do is give away some swag. Water bottles, the rubber bands, stuff like that say Team Wilpers on it. And a couple times during this challenge, training block, we're going to pick from the people who have hit all of the boxes, done all the rides. We're going to pick a few people to send some swag to. I'm going to do it. You guys are in trouble because I'm hitting the boxes like crazy. Look at this hat. I need a new hat badly. So anyway, that's going to happen. Something to look forward to, and we'll let you know when it happens, but a couple of times. So just a little incentive. Zone 6 question. Somebody posted a zone switch. If we get a new hat, if we get 80%, can we get them to give you? Yeah, come on, give me a new hat. right? Zone 6 question. Somebody posted, I'm sorry I don't have the names, but somebody posted, well, why do we train zone 6? And why don't we do, he understood zone 5, zone 7, why do we train zone 6? So I have a couple of answers, and these are right off the top of my head. I did not research anything, and they could be better answers if I did, but let's say, go back to the analogy of building, the building block, right? We lay the foundation, and zone 7 is the very top, tippity top roof of the house. If you don't have a zone 6, well, the roof is going to fall over. But let me explain that a little bit more, okay? When you pedal your bike or you do any exercise from muscle contractions, right? Muscle contractions run on ATP. Adenosine triphosphate is the compound that fuels a muscle contraction, and the complete cycle is a contraction and relax, right? ATP is given to or fed to the muscle fibers, the contracting muscle fibers, in several ways. Well, ATP is derived in a few different ways. ATP is ready in the muscle, ready to go. If you get on your bike, you're sitting still, and you start pedaling, you have ATP ready to do that. Any muscle contraction any muscle has ATP ready to go in it. Not very much though. You're only good for a few seconds with this, like 7-8 seconds, especially if you go full blast, if you go, okay? After that, you have, as soon as you start that first contraction though, your muscles start turning glucose that is readily available into ATP. Okay, so it replenishes the ATP, and glucose is being used up. Glucose gets used up pretty quickly too. In about 2 minutes max, you're done with your glucose, depending on the intensity, right? After that, glycogen is the stored form of glucose. Glycogen can be broken down and put through the cycle, and broken down into glucose, put through the cycle, and you produce ATP. Okay. After that, fat can be converted into glucose, and the glucose is put through the cycle, and you produce ATP. Those are the energy systems of how we produce ATP. Let's say you're riding along zone 1, zone 2. You're using primarily after a warm up, after a couple of minutes, and your fat metabolism starts happening, and you start using fat as energy by breaking it down into glucose, and you're using primarily that. As the intensity goes up, you're going to start dipping into the glycogen, the stored form of glucose that can be broken down and put through the cycles and produce ATP. And as the intensity goes even higher, you can't produce ATP fast enough using those two systems, so you have to use up the ATP or the glucose that's readily available. And as the intensity goes even higher than that, you're in zone 7 using the ATP that is readily available. You cannot use the other systems fast enough to produce the fuel that your muscles need. So you're done working out at that time. One system builds on the other. In other words, use the fat burning system to make it so that you have to pedal more intense to get to the glycogen system. Train the glycogen system so that you have to work harder to get to the glucose system, and train the glucose system, the zone 6, so that you have to work harder to get to the ATP. So working the bottom brings your top zones higher. Does that make sense? If you don't train zone 6, it's harder to make your top end, your highest output, go higher. It's a more efficient way to get faster to train zone 6 than it is to train zone 7. That's, hopefully that makes sense. All right, I think I have bored you guys enough for the evening. Good times. Week 2 coming up. Hit me up on the Facebook group page. Thank you for answering all the questions, asking the questions, and remember, do the rides, hit the boxes, and we're gonna have some fun. So we're just getting started. Have a good week, you guys.